Hello, everyone. Welcome to another lecture on reasoning ability and problem solving for competitive exams. In today's lecture, we will continue with problem solving and analysis. We will look at some practice questions. So, let us start with question number 1. In this particular lecture, we will solve questions on logical grids. So logical grids, let me give you a quick recap. Logical grids, I said you can get three types of questions. That is a 3 into 3 grid, a 4 into 3 grid, or a 4 into 4 grid. So what do you mean by that? 3 into 3 grid basically means that there will be 3 rows and 3 columns like in this one. So here we have row 1, row 2, row 3 and column 1, column 2, column 3. Correct? Then there was 4 into 4. 4 into 4 means 4 rows and 4 columns. Then 4 into 3 can be either 4 rows and 3 columns, or it can be 3 rows and 4 columns, either of the two cases. So this was logical grids. And how did we solve question on logical grids? Basically, certain operations were done in a particular row or in a particular column. So either operations were done like this in a particular column or in a particular row. And based on that, we used to solve the question. Okay, so let us solve this particular question. Let us start with question number 1. Now, over here I can see 13, 16, 52. So this number is slightly bigger than these two numbers. Then similarly 18, 24, 90, this number is bigger than comparatively than these two numbers. So I can assume that probably certain operations is being done on this number and this number to obtain this number. Correct? This is how we approach logical grid questions. So that means the direction in which we are solving this particular grid is this. So let us look at over here. If I multiply 13 by 4, I'll get 52. So if you know the table of 32, you know that 13 into 4 will give me 52. So 16, if I divide 16 by 4, I'll get 4. So this is basically that 13 into 4 gives me 52. Now this was row 1. Now let us look at row 2. So in row 2, if I multiply 15 into 24 and divide it by 4, what will I get? I'll get 15 into 4, 6 are 24, 6 times. And 15 into 6 times is equal to 90. So the same logic applies to row 2 as well. So let us apply the same logic to row 3. So in row 3, it will be 23 into 36, which I'll divide by 4. So this will be 23 into 9 fours are equals to 36. So if you multiply this, 9, 3 is 27, 2 carry here, 9 to 18, then plus 2, 207. So my answer will be option number 3, 207. Clear? This is how you solve questions on logical grids. Now let us move on to question number 2. Again, in this question, I can see that certain operations are probably being done on these two elements to get to this element, because this element and this element is significantly bigger than these two elements. Correct? So that means that my pattern is going in this direction. Okay, so let us start with row 1. In row 1, if I multiply 5 and 16, so if I multiply 5 and 16, I should get, how much will I get? This will be 3 carry and this will be 80. Now if I subtract 3 from 80, I get 77. Correct? Let us check if the same logic is followed in row 2 as well. So in row 2, I am checking. So in row 2, basically 8 into 19 will give me how much? 8 into 19. This will be 2, 7 carried, 152. Sorry, 152. Okay. And if I subtract 3 from it, I'll get 149. So logically, it is true for row 2 as well. Now let us move on to row 3 to find the missing element. So now from row 1 and row 2, I have confirmed my logic. So I found a logic in row 1. Then I confirmed my logic in row 2. So now we'll move on to row 3. In row 3, we have to do the same thing. 13 into 12. 13 into 12 gives me how much? 6 and 156. And if I subtract 3 from 156, I will get 153. So 153 will be my answer, which is in option number 1. So for question number 2, option number 1 is the correct answer. Okay. Now let us move on to question number 3. In question number 3, again, it is a 3 into 3 logical grid. Over here again, I can see these numbers are slightly or considerably bigger than the first two numbers. Correct? So I can assume that we are moving in this direction. This is how we solve the logical grid. So let us check for row 1. Row 1, 12 and 7. To get 70, if I multiply 12 by 7, I'll get, this is 14 and this will be 84. So this is significantly more. 70 is basically 7 into 10, right? So if I say that 12 minus 2 into 7, this will be 10 into 7. So 10 into 7 will be how much? 70. Let us see if the same logic follows for row 2 as well. So in row 2, it will be 15 minus 2 into 6. 15 minus 2 is what? 13. And 13 into 6. 6 3s are 18. 1 carried. 6 1s are 6 plus 1, 78. So row 2 gives me 78. So logically, this pattern is correct for row 2 as well. What we are doing is we are taking the first number, we are subtracting it by 2, and then we are multiplying it by the second number to get the third number. This is what we are doing. Okay, so if I give them numbers over here, this is first number, second, or Romans or alphabet. Okay, this is A, this is B, this is C. So what we are doing, we are A minus 2 into B gives me C. This is the pattern of the grid. A minus 2 into B is giving me C. Clear? Now let us see if it is true for row 3 as well. So row 3, A 11 minus 2 into 9. So this will be how much? This will be 9. 9 into 9 is what? It is 81. Correct? So our answer will be option number 3, 81. So 81 is the correct answer to this question. Okay. Now let us move on to question number 4. Question number 4 is again what? A 3 into 3 grid. Let us look over here. This number and this number are slightly or significantly higher than these two numbers. They are much more bigger. So we can assume that certain operations are being done on this number at this number to get this number. Now, let us try. So here, if I take 15 square and I take 9 square, so 15 square will be 225 and 9 square will be 81. So this number 144 lies somewhere between these two numbers, correct? So if I subtract 15 square from 9 square, I'll get 225 minus 81. So this will be equal to 4, and 22 minus 8 is also equals to 14. So I get 144. This is row 1. Correct? So I am basically doing, if this is A, this is B, and this is C, I am doing A square minus B square is giving me C. This is the pattern I think is correct. Okay, this is what I think is correct. So let us check for row 3 if it follows. So A square will be 22 square minus 17 square equals to C, which is 195, right? It should be equal to 195. Now I told you to remember squares of at least 1 to 30. Why? Because questions like these involves the use of squaring. So if you remember squares from 1 to 30, you can get your answer much more quicker. Otherwise, you would have to do 22 into 22. This is 4, this is 4, this is 4 and 4, this is 484. So this takes a lot of time. And time is very precious when it comes to competitive exams. You cannot afford to waste time at all. So if you remember the square of 22, it becomes much more easier for you to solve such questions. Okay, so 22 is 484 and the square of 17 is 289. So let us check. 484 minus 289. This will be 7, this will be 14, this will be 5. Similarly, this will be 3, this is 17. 17 minus 8 will be how much? It will be 9. And this will be 1. So 195 is correct. So this also logically holds true. So this a square minus b square equals to c is true for row 3 as well. So now let us check row 2. In row 2, I can see 18 square minus 12 square. So 18 square, if you remember squares, you know it will be 324. And 12 square is 144. Correct? So 4 minus 4, 0. 32 minus 14 will give me 8 and 1, 180. So my answer will be 180, which is given in option number 3. So option number 3 will be your correct answer to this question. Okay, clear? Let us move on to the next question, which is question number 5. So question number 5 is again a 3 into 3 grid. And over here again I can see that these numbers are significantly bigger than these two numbers. So probably some operations are being carried on these two numbers to get the third number. Now let us see. If I square them up, 8 square plus 6 square, this will be 64 and this will be 36. So if I add them up, I'll get 100. So this is not the logic I can think of. Now, if I subtract them also, then also I'll not get it. So let us try some other method. So I'm trying for row 1 first. So row 1, if I multiply 8 by 5 and I multiply 6 by 6 like this. So this will be 40 and this will be how much? 6 into 6, 36. So this will give me 76. So by using this logic, which is if this is A, this is B and this is C, A into 5 plus B into 6 is giving me C. So this is a logic that I have formed using the first row, row 1. Now, let us try for row 3 as well. So row 3, A is 7. So 7 into 5 plus 13 into 6 should give me 113. So 7 3s is 35. Similarly, 13 6s is 78. And when I add them, I'll get 113. So here also, for row 3 also this logic, that is A into 5 plus B into 6 equals to C is following. Correct? So now let us check for row number 2. For row number 2, if I check 12 into 5 plus 10 into 6. So 12 5s is how much? 12 5s is 60 plus 10 into 6 is again 60. So 60 plus 60 is 120 and 120 will be your correct answer to this question, which is option number 2. So option number 2 will be your correct answer. Clear? Now, let us move on to the next question, which is question number 6. In question number 6, again, it is a logical grid of 3 into 3. Now, this time, the things are a little different. Over here, I can see that this number, 81, 99 and 120 are significantly bigger than 15 and 12 and 18 and 15 and so on. So I am assuming that certain operations are being carried on these numbers and these numbers to obtain this number. This is what I am assuming. Now let us check if it is true. Okay, so let me do for row number 1 first. So row number 1, I can see that if I add 15 and 12, so 15 plus 12 will give me how much? It will give me 27. And if I multiply it by 3, I'll get 81. Easy? Now, so this is basically, if this is A, this is B and this is C, what I am doing is, I am adding A plus C and then I'm multiplying it by 3 to get B. This is what I'm doing in row 1. So now I would have to check whether this follows for row 2 as well. So if I look at row 2. Row 2, A plus C will be 18 plus 15 into 3. So this was 15 into 12 into 3 was 27 into 3, that is equals to 81. Similarly, 18 plus 15 will be 3 and carried 3 into 3, 33 into 3. And 33 into 3 is what? 99, correct? So now let us look at row 3. So 99 is correct. So 81 was correct, 99 was correct. Now I need to find a number in row C. Let us say it is C, that when being multiplied by 3, it gives me 120. Because we don't know the term here, the C term. So A plus C into 3 gives me B. So 17 plus C into 3 should give me 120. So if I multiply 17 by 3, this is 21. This will be 51. So 51 plus 3 into C, 3C is 120. Correct? Now, if I take this that side, 3C will be equal to 120 minus 51. Correct? So 3C will be equal to how much? This is 69. If I subtract 51 from 120, I'll get 69. So C will be how much? 69 by 3. This is 3. So my correct answer will be 23, which is option number 2. So option number 2 is your correct answer. Okay. Now, question number 7, which is again a 3 into 3 grid. If you look at question number 7, you can see that all the numbers are comparable to each other. 9, 7, 9 is comparable. 5, 4 and 7, it is also comparable. So probably this is not the logic. But over here, if you look at these numbers, 43 and 26, they are significantly higher than 9 and 5. So probably the logic moves like this. Okay. Now you understood how I did it? Earlier, before this, all the 6 questions that we did, we were solving like this. But now we can see that the numbers are bigger over here. So probably the logic goes downwards. So let us see. Let us call them column 1, column 2 and column 3. Okay. Now let us look at column 1. This is 9, 5 and 43. 9 into 5 is clearly 45. I know that. So maybe if this is A, this is B and this is C. So 9, I am looking for column 1. 9 into 5. And if I subtract 2 from it, that is 45. And then if I subtract 2 from it, I'll get how much? I'll get 43. So it holds true for column number 1. Now let us check if it holds for column number 2 as well. So column number 2, this is what? This is basically A into B minus 2 is giving me C. This is the logic. Correct? So I'll do the same logic for column number 2 as well. Column number 2, this is 9. Column number 2, the first is 7 into 4 minus 2. So 7 into 4 will be how much? It will be 28. And if I subtract 28, 2, this will give me 26. So 26 is correct. So similarly, I have confirmed the logic from column number 2. So now I'll put the same operations for column number 3. So if I put for column number 3, A into B, 9 into 7 minus 2 will give me C. So 9 into 7 gives me what? It gives me 63. And if I subtract 2 from it, this will give me 61. So the correct answer to this question will be option number 2, 61. So in this case, we used all the same things that we used in the previous questions, but the only difference was that we moved in a downward manner and not in a horizontal manner. So instead of moving horizontally, we moved vertically. Okay, now. So now let us look at this question, which is question number 8. So here we have, this is a 4 into 3 logical grid. Now here we have 4 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so 4 rows into 3 columns. Now over here I can see that all these numbers are slightly comparable. So over here the biggest number is here. Over here this is also big, but this is also big, and these three numbers are almost comparable. So just by at the looks of it, I cannot really make out whether these numbers are correct or not. Like what is the sequence? Correct? But if I look at probably this row is slightly, or I can say significantly smaller than the other numbers. Exception is 2. With the exception of 2, these numbers are significantly smaller than these 3 rows. So maybe I can assume that certain operations are being carried on these elements to get this number. This is my assumption. Now let me rename them. So if I say this is column 1, this is column 2, and this is column 3. And this is A, this is B, then C, and then D. So certain operations are being done on 12, 12, and 24 to get 16. So let me try with column number 1. In column number 1, if I multiply 12 into 12 and divide it by 24, what will I get? So 12 2s will be 24, and 2 6 times is 12. So I'll get 6. So this is correct. So the logic I followed is I multiplied C and D and then I divided by A to get my B element. This is the logic that I followed. Correct? Now let us check whether this logic is correct for column 2 and column 3 as well. This is how you do questions, right? So column number 2. So I will multiply C and D. C and D means 2 and 54. And I'll divide it by A, which is 36. And this should give me my B. So over here, 2, 1 and 8. And if you know, 18 3 times give us 54. So 18 3 times, this will be 24. Correct? And 2 carried, so 54. So 18 3 times give us 54. So this is correct for column number 2 as well. Now we'll check for column number 3. So in column number 3, basically we'll have 24 into 24 divided by how much? 32. Correct? So now following, this will be 12 and this will be how much? Or if you take the table of 8 or 4, 4 8s are 32 and 4 6 are 24. This will be 3, this will be 4. And 4, how many times? 4, 18 times, so 24 into 24 by 32. This will be 6 and this will be how much? 8. This will be 3 and this will be 4. This will be 6. And 6 into 3 is 18. Sorry, I made a calculation error. So this is 3 into 6, that is 18. So 18 will be your correct answer, which is option number 3. Okay. So 24 into 24 by 32, which is C into D by A, give us our B, which is 18. And 18 is your correct answer. Clear? So question number 9. Question number 9. Now, again a 3 into 3 logical grid. If I look over here, this number is significantly bigger than these numbers. So probably the operations are being done on 14 and 21 to get 165. Now, if I say, or if I add 14 and 1 and multiply it by 21 plus 1 and then divide it by 2, how much will I get? So this will be 15 into 22 by 2. This will be 11. And 15 into 11 is 165. Correct? There's a shortcut when it comes to multiplication by 11. So if you have to multiply any number by 11, first you write the last number, Then you add these two numbers. So 1 plus 5 give us 6. And then you write the first number. Let us check with other numbers. So if you have to, let's say, multiply 23 by 11. First you write 3. Then you add 2 plus 3, which is 5. And then you write the first number, which is 253. So this is a shortcut of multiplication by 11. Okay. So over here, it will be 165. Similarly, let us look over here. This is row number 3. This was row number 1 and this is row number 3. So what I did was, if this is A, B and C, I added 1 in my A and multiplied it by adding 1 in my B. Then I divided everything by 2 and I got my C. Now let us check if it is true for row 3 as well. So row 3, 10 plus 1 into 17 plus 1 divided by 2. So this will be 11, this will be 18 and we will divide it by 2. So if you look here, this will be how much? 9, and 9 into 11 is 99. So this also is true, 165 and 99. So this logic will be true. So let us check for row number 2. Row number 2 will be 13 plus 1 into how much? 19 plus 1 and we will divide everything by 2. So this is 14 and this will be how much? This will be 20 and we divide it by 2. So 14, this will be 10. So 14 into 10 is 140. So 140 will be the correct answer, which is given in option number 2. Now let us move on to question number 10. Question number 10 is again a 4 into 3 matrix. 4 rows into 3 columns. Now, over here, I can see if I look at this, these numbers are pretty comparable. I can't really make out. Any number is not big. Every number is comparable. So, let us try it in a different way. Okay. So, maybe I'll tell you the logic now. If I subtract, or let me give it number A, B, C, D. So, if I subtract if I subtract C from A, okay, and then I add B into it, I will get my C. This is the logic that is being used in this question. I've told you already. Now let us check if it is true. We are going row wise. This is row 1, row 2 and row 3 and row 4. So row 1. Let us check for row 1. Sorry, column wise. We are going column wise. Column 1, column 2, column 3. So column 1. Column 1 is 18 minus 8 plus 7 is how much? This is 10 plus 7 give me 17. So this logic is true for column 1. Okay, this one. A minus C plus B will give me my D. Okay, so this logic is true for column 1. Now let us check for column 2. For column 2, if I look at it, 24 minus 11 plus 8 will give me how much? This will be 3 and this will be 1. So 13 plus 8 is how much? 13 plus 8 is 21. Correct? So answer will be 21, but let us confirm it by column number 3. So column number 3, 19 minus 14 plus 9 will be how much? This will be 5. So 5 plus 9 is 14. So for column number 3 also, the logic is true. Therefore, for column number 2, the logic will be true as well, which is 21. So answer will be option number 2, 21. Okay. So you see what I did? This is the formula. This is a very tricky question, to be honest. And these type of questions you should keep for the last in your examinations. Because in the other questions that we did, question number 1 to 9, there was a clear indication. Certain numbers were either too big or certain numbers were either too small as compared to other numbers. So they are comparatively easier to solve. But when you get a question like this in your exam, this is a time-taking question. To get to this formula, you would have to do a lot of trial and error. Okay. So these type of questions I would advise you to keep last in your exams. So this was all for today. This concludes today's lecture. Thank you.